So this one goes out to all my all my Swedish progressives and lefties. Um, I know many of you are probably very, very disappointed about your recent election results, and many of you are probably asking, "What on earth happened?" I think many of us, even in the UK, as progressives on the left over here, are going, "What happened in Sweden?" Sweden, to many of us, is sort of the bastion of progressive sort of politics and ideas, and sort of in many cases, often the first country to embrace modernity in many cases. And I really don't want to gloat because I guarantee you there have been a lot of people commenting on my channel throughout the years who have been from Sweden saying, you know, I laughed. How on earth could Brexit happen? Why on earth do you keep on voting in the Tories? And yes, true, we very much do discuss on this channel very often why that happens, why people have sort of reacted that way, and why that has happened. And I think you on the left now, and the progressives, and um, maybe even sort of the moderates in your country, will now have to do a lot of soul searching to certainly see off this, because your far right party won about 20% of the vote. And while they haven't taken any ministerial positions, the fact that they will not have influence, and they will have a lot of influence, because that's still, 20% is a lot, especially for sort of, their voting system. I think they will wield that influence. And it is very worrying because, that far right party has a lot of roots in a lot of neo-Nazi movements. In fact, one of the MPs who got elected did a neo-Nazi salute, but later the party came out and walked it back and said, "Oh, don't worry, she was just drunk. It didn't come out right." No. Um, Unfortunately, I think they've already very much shown their true colors for years. Like I say, there will be other people who are far more familiar with Swedish politics who can more explain the reality of who this far right party are, and probably point to other incidents where they've shown their true colors. But make no mistake, you and the left are going to have to do a lot of soul searching, just as we progressive have had to do over here. Um, and you are going to have to ask yourselves hard and difficult questions. Where did we go wrong? What happened? What happened to? Because from what I can see from this, from the polls, a lot of very young first time voters, um, round about the same age as Greta Thunberg, actively went out and voted for that party. And I think you have to ask yourselves a very, very deep and searching question. Why did they do that? What attracted them to this party? And how can you show that you have far more to offer than they do? Those are the types of questions you're going to have to go and sort of ask yourselves, um, certainly in the coming weeks and months, and certainly as you now fight what will be, I think, their rise, because obviously they are going to use this as a massive opportunity to sort of recruit, to sort of spread their message, and you will have to fight back, because the last thing you want is another election in 4 or 5 years' time, and it's not 20% they get, it's 25%. Heaven forbid they get 30% or something like that. And you need to be watching them very, very carefully in government. If they make a mistake, highlight it. Say why it's a mistake. Call them out on their mistakes. Show that they aren't really sort of doing things that are in Sweden's best interests. And you will get a lot of pushback. You will get a lot of flack because that's the way they react. Um, but you've got to fight back against them. And I know you will. There will be a lot of people going, yeah, of course we're going to do that. But it's not just that. You have to look at what it is you are offering and what policies you can beat them on, because you can. And we progressives on the left have a ton of policies we can sort of reach into and sort of go to, probably even more so in Sweden, given its sort of more progressive sort of roots. But there's a lot of people, I think, questioning at the moment, is your like progressive heritage, or at least the progressiveness that Sweden likes to put forward, is it just a is it just skin deep? Is that the real level of how deep the Swedish progressives really were? There's a lot of people also saying that this is just a reaction to the pandemic, and it won't be like this next time. You cannot ignore that. Um, you cannot just say that and just say, oh, it'll be all right next time, because next time it could be 25%. It could be more than that. Because make no mistake, they will use this opportunity to push their agenda as much as they can. And as we said at the beginning, even though they don't have any ministerial positions, because they are in a sort of a coalition with other sort of conservative parties, make no mistake, they will be fighting to bring over certainly more conservatives over to their cause, because we've seen that, from what we can tell from the results so far, at least 14% of people who voted conservative last time in the Swedish elections voted for that party. So be aware. Don't go to sleep on this. Fight back, and don't just think, well, next time it won't be like this. And one of the things I would definitely advocate and argue is for, I think a lot of people maybe were asleep at the wheel, because I've seen a lot of people, in my comments since 2016 going, this'll never happen in my country. I have to wonder how many of those comments and people who said that were from Sweden, and maybe have been worried and panicking over the past couple of days that, this party is going to form quite a significant part of the government. Now, you've got to be careful, and you've got to fight back, and you've got to come up with a strategy that will beat them in the next election. And part of that is you've got to do a lot of deep soul searching. Ask why you failed and how you can do better next time. Because if you don't ask those questions, you're just gunning for another defeat. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all